Hold on 1 second. This is embarrassing. Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, good people. Welcome to another episode of the Bridge Show, and we're joined tonight by a guest. I'm gonna let him introduce himself for the people so they can know who he is and where he hail from.
Um, Hello, everyone. My first time here. Hopefully, not my last. This is Freddie, hailing from DMIA, born and raised in the county of Dade. Um, my background is economics, finance, and politics. Nice to meet you all.
Okay, and then we have the most phenomenal chef, and
Mm,
he repping his homeland fully
all the time.
to the most chef Irie.
What's up, everybody? Chef here in the house. It's Tuesday. I hope it's been a happy one. Hope the weekend was cool. Yeah, I was still on the high because we celebrated independence last week. Friday, Jamaica did. So yeah, I'm still halfway in the independence vibes. But it's all good though. Hope everybody's good.
So, as I am, I'm Mr. J. James, the producer and co-host of the Bridge Podcast. So tonight we're gonna just jump right into it. And let's talk about what's his name, DeSantis, DeSatan, whatever they want to call him, and his mandate for wearing not wearing masks this year for the school. Anybody want to jump off with their thoughts on it first?
Well, I
I
thought, yeah, go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Mr. Fred. Go on, Freddie. Go on, Mr. Guest. Yes.
No, I was just gonna lead with most of these things is mainly political, and it's all partisan type of stuff, which is ridiculous when they have all the information and data, so that's how I look at this particular issue. You could go chef, then I'll follow up after you.
Well, I'm surprised it took him this long. I guess they had to gather around and figure out what they were going to do. But um, you know, the thing was done by executive order, and it's not law. But he's trying to be a little tyrant, and because, as rightfully said, Freddie said, it's all partisan, and I don't think he's actually thinking of the now. His mindset, I think, is all the way in next year, and for re-election, and also everybody's is hyping him to that he's going to run in 2024 for president as well. Um, so I don't think he truly really cares about data. They're probably lying about the data that they're anyway, to begin with. And I'm glad to see that there has been pushback, not just from the school boards but in the courts as well, because that is happening. And so I think to be able to tell this dude to piss off, you know um you know yes, I if you want to be out there and not wearing a mask is your thing, and you want to go protest your rights for not wearing a mask, cool. But when the people out there sending them kids to school and you are doing something, creating a scenario that is going to cause the kids more harm. Obviously, he has not been to a hospital to see any kids or the amount of kids that have been hospitalized in the state of Florida. Um, so right off the bat, he doesn't know. Right now he doesn't really care. That's just my opinion. So there, I'm glad that not just Broward County, but Alachua County, Leon County, and I'm sure a few are going to follow because Broward being, I think, the largest area, in the state. Um, I think once they make the jump out and say that they were going to maintain their mass protocols, I think other counties are going to follow subsequently, maybe with some variations of it. Um, but that's what I see. That's what I see happening. Just a step backwards too. A few days ago, because of pushback, and this happened. This is really a separate issue when a judge allowed Norwegian Cruise Line to say, yes, you guys can go ahead and run your business the way you need to run your business. You can ask people for their vaccination, forms if they want to come aboard your ship. So that dealt that executive thing or whatever that a blow. So I see more counties following suit. I really do.
What I envision personally, I think there's going to be a lot of controversy on when the parents or students, for whatever their reasons, that don't want to wear the mask and they're turned away, and that's going to escalate into a whole different thing because they will have the state courts um, behind them that opens themselves up to all type of lawsuits than just bad press, and being familiar with the school board. It's I know that everyone that's in Fort Lauderdale, that's where the actual school board is going to be intent because they can anticipate that. And the crazy thing about Florida, we are fairly a Republican state. Yes, we have a lot of Democratic strongholds like South Florida, Central Florida, mainly around Orange County, those adjacent counties, and Tampa, maybe even St. Petersburg. That's a little sketchy. But a lot of the stuff that's ran in state capital is Republican. So if you have people that's still refusing to, so the people that's enforcing, and like, how you gonna tell us we can't, but we have someone that's at a higher plateau, whatever you want to label it as, saying that it's okay. How can you deny someone their education? Then that's going to just create a rift. That's what I don't want to say looking for, but that's what I'm anticipating is going to lead to a lot of pushbacks from both sides.
Well, I don't know how they can contend with denying someone an education. It's kind of hard for them to prove that. The protocol. If the protocol said you can't come to school unless you get your measles vaccine, is that if you decide not to take them, is that denying you education? The protocol said all students must have X, Y, and Z. If you can't show a receipt of that, you don't get in. Pretty much. My opinion, my thing is, how is that any different? You know, so people are using people because TFH, that former guy, made this uber political, it has cascaded and and just flowed into mainstream partisan country,
Well,
and so they have accepted it as political and are really beating the drum on that political statement. So everything else is like fodder. It's my right, it's my this. No, they're using the whole political aspect of it to push forward their ideals.
well, I want to ask the fact checker a question right quick. Well, ask her to look something up to see if it is up to the county or the state to set those rules for vaccination or stuff like that. Because far as I see, the governor can't, he can suggest, but he can't mandate what a county does for a public school system. I believe that, but I want to
Yeah.
also bring up. Go ahead, Ari.
No, I think because I think the public school, the school boards in general, people don't understand how they have a lot of power. The school
Yeah.
boards have a lot of power, and because they were being bullied into making, whether it's a mask or whatever it is, they have the right to make a lot of unilateral decisions as it relates to students, staff, and people who are in the school system. But and so when he comes out and say, "Yeah, I'm going to take away funding," I'm or this the latest thing, people who are on on boards and stuff like that, but I'm not going to pay you. You're not going to get paid, and people are like, hmm. What's better, safety of the kids, or because the or is a whole bunch of other things. So safety of the kids, or and they've gone ahead and made that decision that they're going to do this for for the kids.
Now, okay, it's a state mandate, and that is enforced through Florida Department of Education. Okay, so um, I feel like he's acting like Agent Orange, talking out
Mhm.
his ass, and really can't force these policies.
Yeah, because they're because for one they're not law. For one, they're not law. Okay, so he created a system. Well, not created. He's utilizing a system that allows him to sort of help try to rein in us, the people, and so trying to do it by executive order. And as we know, executive orders aren't worth a hill of beans per se. So that's why these executive orders, if they're nonsensical, yes, they will be challenged. And there are going to be more challenges, and it's just going to how show up the ridiculousness of the whole partisan effort, you know, to to say that the mandates are not what is necessary to combat um COVID, and the effects of COVID, especially as it deals with kids. So if you don't want your kids to wear a mask, I'm assuming you have the time to homeschool them, because the people on the other side, so what Freddie rightfully said, yeah, there's going to be a showdown, and what, lockdown schools, you
Oh,
know.
you cannot go back to that. You cannot go back to pretty much a law school. Yeah, everyone, well, remote learning as it's labeled, where there's a lot of issues going at home where it's not the proper instruction and focus and guidance that students need, especially in the upper grades, typically high school and middle school. So I'm in agreement with the counties that are pushing it back with the against the governor, not the state, the governor, since they are executive orders to where we got to get them in and we have to figure out, but at least we could combat it by putting on a mask, which I don't, this like is crazy him as a governor, but I don't expect anything less from the state of Florida that this is a hill to die on. This is to make a big issue. Just wear a mask and go into school. I got to be honest. I haven't been following. I don't know if he articulated any reason or any personal reason why he feel no go to school without masks, so a whole bunch of kids go walk around breathing in one another's face, not knowing if they have it or not. Then someone gets sick, then the school board and the state liable because they allowed it. It just doesn't
Yeah,
make
yeah, it's gonna
any
be a big
sense.
mess.
There's so much more you can make a name for yourself, but this really isn't it. Everyone would get behind you, like, okay, let the kids wear masks and go to school. So, but when I said I don't expect anything less from Florida, we got to remember we're the same state that allowed what's his name? He the senator now. Who's
Rick Scott.
yes, how he get 2 terms. I That's something that I'm still trying to figure out. That's why it's a lot of stuff I don't have really hope. He may mess around and get reelected. He just and I also feel like in this particular state and the type of people that we share it with, where they try to relate to black people crabs in the bucket, they more shoot. If I gotta die, we all die. Like the people, like they don't want those particular people to do well. So I would go and put myself in harm's way if they get harmed too, because he, even though it's executive order, our last check, you can fact check that the Republicans run the state capitol from the Senate and the House. If no one wants to respect the executive order, he could get it pushed through. Then it falls into the power of the Florida Department, and they put their own people in there to do their bidding. That's why that's a whole different conversation. The way that politics, especially here, that doesn't allow for a lot of objectivity in these different roles, these safeguards and checks and balances. Well,
I
that's
don't
my
know if yeah. I'm assuming that he wouldn't be able to push it through. Um, for the well, I guess maybe they'll try, but I think it would be challenged based on the constitutionality of it. And I think in terms of what I'm listening to and hearing, in media and from the White House and stuff like that, is that, you know, the if the federal government was to mandate it, that's the only well, that's the only way you would have, basically a national thing. However, how long they'll be able to do it, and I think, um, doing there's just a lot of issues I think that would allow it to get challenged on states grounds, especially here in Florida. I mean, you know, him and Texas governor, they don't seem to they're living in a different world. Um,
Well. Speaking of Texas, um, a judge has knocked that down. He has put an order in that they can wear masks.
hmm Right.
So he's not even seeing what the governor is saying.
but with that law, well, that precedent set by that judge does also say they can refuse a student that decides not to wear a mask.
Let me fact check it. Can you check that?
And also another thing that I want to mention in regards to education, the federal government relinquished control. I can't remember the years, but probably like definitely like the early 20th century, with the around the time with the with the big deal or whatever it was called. Like they gave a lot of state leeway to, so one of the things is they don't get in, the federal government don't um get in the way of how the states run their departments of education. The only thing you could say with the White House is they can cut federal funding, but as far as actual mandates or laws in regards to education, that's entirely on the state,
Hmm.
which is because usually, like if Trump was in, oh, it'd definitely got pushed through because he know he'll still get his money, but he could count on Biden still sending the money because there's still a lot of people as far as the Democratic strongholds, which is South Florida, Central Florida, and West Florida, like the Tampa, St. Petersburg area. So the federal government is still going to send their money for education here. So the governor can pretty much run amok and unchecked in this particular arena. So it's a real fickle thing.
But what Biden came out and from the White House there is that if he was to go forward by withholding people's paychecks, funding is one. The funding on the state level is one thing, but to withhold paychecks, they were saying that they would possibly be able to utilize funding from a lot the COVID relief to pay any of those individuals that may or may not be affected by the idiocy of what he wants to do. So
I mean, that's interesting, but we also live amongst people with rental assistance that they have gave out only 2% of it. So we
mhm.
counting on them to subsidize probably over $2 billion budget. I'm talking about for the school board of Broward County by itself, which is actually the second largest after Miami-Dade public schools. And that the money that they give down still isn't gonna cover it. So it's really a game of chess. Then it's like, okay, it's this, he will have to actually, well, he can't by law, he can't, the federal government can't, okay, since you don't want to get the money, we're gonna get the money to pay for the schooling that that would conflict with the agreements between federal government and state government. So that's why they can really let their scrotum hang on this type of issue. And it's all steered in some weird political game where people's lives are at stake.
So the showdown has begun.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the new get our New York state of mind and talk about the governor resigning. Well, the fact checker before we go there, the fact checker said in Florida, you can refuse a you cannot refuse a student rights to education without showing the proof that the student is a danger to himself or others. It's a lengthy process.
I guess given the fact that it's COVID, I'm sure it. I don't know how lengthy it would be because of that, but hey,
But you got the governor saying that it's not an issue. That's the
because he
conundrum.
because he lying. Yeah, he's out there telling people everything is okay, but he just ordered 300. He just asked the government to give him 300 ventilators. So how the hell is everything okay? And then I'm going on here talking about, oh no, I know, but I
And he
know.
also said that the numbers in the hospitals ain't that bad.
Yeah, because he lied. Just like when last year when that young lady came out and said, "Yo, they're fudging the numbers and they fired her." He
Mhm.
lied. He was lying then. They're lying now.
Yeah, but
He
one
all
thing
of them lied.
I would recommend you all on Netflix. It's called How to Become a Tyrant, and this is pretty much along the lines.
Us.
I would say with here we know the truth. This isn't about the truth. This
Yeah,
has
I
nothing
didn't
to
think
do with.
about
That's the
it.
scary part. They really playing a game that we're not even evolved the thought of. This is like some stuff that aren't even aware of. So that's it's just plain old crazy.
Yeah, we just need to go get the where. So it's a New York State of mind, brethren.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
New
yeah,
York
it's
State
that.
of Mind on Governor Cuomo resigning today after they say he got a little touchy feely.
Yeah, once, um, once the issue of criminal charges, I think, came into the discussion, and him looking towards what, because if they he was standing a very good chance of possibly getting impeached, all right, based on who fell in line,
Hmm.
and for him being impeached and possibly because it's the same, almost a similar process as a president, where you go through this whole thing, you get impeached, you get convicted, so whatever, and removed. But he can't, because if you get removed through impeachment, you can never serve again for political office. So he's got, I think, based on the advice that he's been given, to cut your losses, resign. But I think most people, from New York, um, diehard, Dems and everything, didn't think that he would have resigned. I think if it wasn't for the fact for the criminal charges, or the criminal, the report that was made, that would now spark the investigation, to bring criminal charges. I think he was gonna dig in if it wasn't for that. Because sexual harassment, for the most part, is almost, you look at all of the cases, it's hard to prove at times, and it's your word, it's your word against mine, this, that, and the other. And it comes down to how the believability factor from the person who's making the accusations, or person or persons, and how credible think when I think. But somebody said something interesting today on one of the shows that I was kind of listening to briefly, and they were saying that it's high time that, you know which is it's kind of hard to do that. I think everybody's saying, to the course of defense from the person who's been accused has always been to tear down their accuser, bring everything and tear them down and make them look bad, and all that good stuff. And they're saying that it's high time that 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 some of the questions that they would normally ask, you say, they should really move away from a lot of those questions, because oftentimes the accuser is telling the truth, and of course there are times when the accuser has not been telling the truth. So here again, you have a slippery slope, you know, for a lot of these cases. But I didn't think, based on who Como is, and the legacy, and his family and everything, from his dad and everything, being the New Yorker that he is, and how he has led the governorship, and with other political things that he's been involved in New York. I didn't think that he was going to resign.
Well, my thing is when they talk about sexual harassment and they said that that he touched on the back. I'm like, how did he touch on the back? Did he touch her at the shoulder? Or if he touched her in the small of the back, that's a whole nother thing because women can take that as, hey, you trying to control me if you touching me in that manner from that perspective.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
So that's my only question is, What is it? How did he touch you on your back? Because now you're gonna have 685 women say he touched me too.
Right?
Um,
Yeah. So,
yes.
it's a matter whether how the law interprets it. And for the people who are pushing the case and how they present it. And so yes, fact checker, no, he hadn't started to tear her down, but that's exactly where it was going to go. And so she, I think the young lady that brought the original accusation, she came out um, in person on camera, and so she's telling the story of basically he has kissed her without asking permission. He has at one time, you know, he was saying something to her. Then he goes and he closes the door. There's just the two of them in the room, and he puts his hand up under her blouse and squeezes her breast. And then she says something to him, and then he walks away because she was just like in shock. So there's a lot of things, especially the one from the state trooper and this, that, and the other. So the IG, I mean the AG, Letitia James, but she's on that shit. Um, they've done their investigation and they came out and they said they found the witnesses that they interviewed credible, and so now that means it gives more ammunition for those who are wanting now to start impeachment proceedings. So um, it's like I said, touchy, is one thing. There should be no place for you touching people that you work with. A lot of people take it for joke, you know, um, and I'm sure a lot of people probably come on here and tell you that they were sexually harassed either by their boss or their coworker. Well, a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, but if they make an accusation, you know, that sucks for you. So we have to learn, as men in the workplace or women too, and you don't have to be, you know, person on the other side, what have you. Women harass men too, you know. So everybody just got to learn how to keep their hands to themselves and keep some of your, the things that you say to people, to yourself. I mean, especially within the work, inside the workplace. I guess outside of the workplace, I guess things different.
Yeah. I would just say, no, I agree with everything. My excuse me, my input is, well, I would just like for them to not to control the disclosure until the investigation and everything that's been had, they came to the proper conclusions and resolutions. Then they could decide if it's worth being disclosed or not. Because there are times when these accusations come out, they're exonerated. That's a label that you just can't wash off. Like people don't even care about the verdict no more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
It's
if
just
you get
a
labeled that, he's out of your toast, or you just gotta go hide for a minute, even especially if it wasn't true. Yeah, and
yeah.
even that
People don't
at
want
that time, yeah, that doesn't matter.
yeah. People don't want to do business with you no more. You're not getting hired or anything like that. And they and people, I'm I'm just gonna say people are privy to the power of that. Just the accusation ain't even about being truthful or anything. That's why I'm in any environment. I make sure that there's indisputable evidence. Like I could even be accused or something like that. I don't know if y'all familiar with Keanu Reeves.
Hmm.
Funniest thing ever, but I completely respect it. He get fans, fans or whoever. They want to be able. He keep his hands like this, like he makes sure in the picture's shot. I'm not touching these women. Y'all not coming to get
Right,
me.
right,
And
right, right.
and it's sad it's come to that, but we've seen it enough. Like truly, just protect yourself, especially a governor. Now that's a whole different ball game. Like have
Mm,
some do like the guys in the early 20th century. Just buy a high class prostitute if it's that serious. You crapping where you eat at.
right. But,
But
and given the climate coming out of, you know, from just before, all right when COVID started, during COVID, heights of COVID, and the election, and then after election, given the climate of all of that, you know, you understand how ripe, political malfeasance is, can cost you anything. And all they need is just that much of an opening, to take you out, you know, and whether it's valid or not, that's all they need, and if you give them, if you're there creating, the circumstances for them to say, yeah, I think we need to look into this, some more, because he was getting ready to so to absorb more of what they were talking about from the COVID investigations and the homes, you know, and I think he would have been able to withstand that, and I do believe that if if he had if elections was next month or this month, this year, he would have won. He probably would have won re-election. You know.
Okay, okay. He definitely might have, but now we need to go ahead and jump into the main topic: black culture. Why is the world profiting off of it and not us? And we're gonna jump right into it and say what should we address as as our culture? What makes up our culture that people want to steal from
we honestly came outside of entertainment. We can't even say sports because we didn't invent basketball, we didn't invent football, or any stuff that we're excelling in. But as far as music, yeah, but that's just a, a fraction of what it is to be black. That's a worthy thing to have, like two tangible things as a collective, as of black people, especially American descendants of slavery here. Like what, like I spoke with the senior producer, um, and Mr. J. Well, that was a couple days ago. Like there's a difference from someone from Miami, someone in LA, some New York, St. Louis. We all have our regional differences, but what is that nucleus that you go pretty much the head nod will be the first thing. You go anywhere you see a brother in different spaces, you just look at them and you're like, okay, and you mosey along, or you clap them up, and ask about them. That's, I'll say that could be the genesis, but it is a worthy study, and researching and find that tangible thing, then learn how we have to control the modes of production, and that's how other people are able to um, exploit our culture, whatever that is, because they control how it's made from the music industry. Yes, you could sing, you could write songs, but you don't own the studios. You can't produce any of his music. You can't make the records, the A tracks, the cassettes, the CDs, even the streaming services now. They control getting it to the masses. And like I said, that is only a small portion of what it is to be black. But we gotta get together, find exactly what it is. Then instead of seeking out other people to help get that to the masses, we gotta figure out for ourselves, how can we produce and manufacture and distribute all this ourselves, and also not be too proud to start small. Everyone wants to be the man, but when you read history to people that made big contributions to society, to the world, it started something as small as Jeff Bezos started Amazon with his wife in his garage in Seattle. But we all, this is very American. We don't have pride or a proper understanding of, okay, I'm starting with a pebble, but I'm working towards turning it into a mountain. And we also like discredit a lot of people' efforts. For instance, you notice what you do something or you have something. Oh, okay, well you got your little podcast going, like you just shut it down already. Like, why can't you got a nice pot, you got a little anything like that. Okay, you got there's some nice little shoes. Anything to try to like knock it down a peg instead of acknowledging and okay, I see the efforts you making. So that's definitely one thing that we have to get a control of so we can capitalize on what it is to be black.
Change of mentality. Hmm. I mean, it's hard to find black culture because it is so diverse. To take into consideration all that is, black culture, why we don't benefit or profit in the way we should for a lot of different reasons. Some of which you were mentioning there. Um, but I think one of the biggest reasons is that, and you just alluded to it a little bit, we are not always willing to share. We That's one reason. Two, we chat too much sometimes. you know, we share ideas before we have them worked out ourselves and know exactly how we're going to do it. And not, understanding, how to sort of keep, you know, the really good stuff until you either, secure the ink on paper and who you share it with. Oftentimes we sell out too quickly. A lot of us, so people are always there ready to capitalize on our ideas because they understand how great our country, well, they know how great our contribution, black culture is to the rest of the world. And for people who think that they're ignorant of it, they're not. They understand it very well, and and especially from a business point of view, they understand it very well. And we're the ones who are there fawning and talking about, well, no, they don't understand black culture. You know, when they come and do certain things in ads and stuff like that, they're not ignorant of the fact that they seemingly fucked up. Okay, right?
Yeah,
They
they
are not, ignorant of that fact. Please,
yeah, I'm in
you know,
agreement. They get us
uh,
talking.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, but we have to. I think what when it comes to our ideas and our products and all that good stuff is, and this is another part of our podcast here that we often almost always seem to go back to how we get educated to streamline, you know, the business and streamline businesses from idea conception and further, and how how further, how far out it goes, from financing, how we learn, how to get finance, and how do you get a business idea to fruition. you know who do you talk to? If you have a product, how do you get it, you know how you get it trademarked, how you get the ideas for a trademark, stuff like that. Who do we talk to? Where do you go? And oftentimes, the people within our circles are sometimes not the first one that are willing to help bring a lot of that to the drawing board, because you are thinking, I have this great idea, it's gonna make, I think it will do well. And then we have these wolves in sheep clothing, like, ooh, yes, that's a nice idea. Hmm, how can I benefit from it? How can I majorly benefit from it? And and you're talking about somebody that looks like you and I, as opposed to, how can I really help this person so that they can succeed, you know, and everybody else that's part of it can succeed. But now you have people, they want to steal, they want to either take the idea away from you, or they want to capitalize on the idea and benefit majorly more than the person who had the idea. And a lot of times they look like us, you know. So those are some of the reasons why I think, we often don't, capitalize on our ideas. And I think why, idea stealers and, the colonizers, come and take what they can, because they know they can, until someone says something. If it wasn't for social media, how much other stuff, we have been a part of in producing and making and creating, that have been taken away. We've seen it, before, all these, from even during slavery, after slavery, everything. So many things that we've been a part of that have been swept underneath the rug, because we didn't, there was no cry out or cry back to say, okay, but, after time we really couldn't at one time. And now, because we are in the situation where everything gets seen, it's probably easier for us to call out the bad apples, and say, hey, you can't do that, you know you can't come in and take our culture and our heritage like that without, having us, share in the spoils. But after time, most of them don't care.
Well, I'm gonna jump in and go to something that Freddie said, and swing back around to what culture is. Because yes, we didn't invent basketball. We didn't invent all most of the major sports. But when you look at those sports, you see us. You see our style. You see our swag, and you see how we carry ourselves on and off the court. And people turn around and emulate that and make money off how we dressed, how we put stuff together. Oh, we got a shoe idea. I want my shoe to look like this. I want it to look like this. You're gonna get a percentage, but you're not gonna get the greater percentage out of it. So they're still capitalizing off us, and we're getting a pinch of salt off the salt mine. But then we can also go back to like I said, fashion. We dress people, but we don't make the clothes. They follow our trends. We make the music. We the way we headphones, stuff like that. Apple. Who made Apple headphones popular? Dr. Dre now.
Dr. Dre.
What before that? They, yeah, people had them, but they weren't flying off the market like that. It wasn't until Beats by Dre. Oh, now that it's Beat by Dre. Oh, and now Apple. I got to buy these out. I got to take this off their hands. They making too much money. I need to capitalize off of that. So when we start the trends, somehow we lose control of the trends, and they take over.
Yeah, I wanted to make a point. You actually touched on what I wanted to touch on. I was waiting for Mr. Chef Ari to conclude. is we're just being, like how you said, coach, the way we do things, we're just being, we're not even thinking. And in accounting, they said they have something with two different thinkers. You have intuitive decision makers, then you have systemic decision makers. Most black people, even myself, I'm trying to transition more into systemic thinker, where intuitive, you, like I was saying, you're just being, oh, that looked nice, this just go together, this is gonna, this whole grand thing, once they see me, once I hit the spot, hit the club, wherever we going, the party, I'm gonna be that dude, or she gonna be that chick. We're not thinking, okay, I'm doing all this to meet another, to all this is to a means to an end. Then where you have people from the outside, they're just viewing, but they could see systemic. Oh, I could design something like that. Oh, I got a cousin that owns textiles. I got someone that can sew the designs. They have the whole network. That's why I was specifying the modes of production. Even with our clothing, it was mentioned, even myself, like if you want to even make shirts, you could get a printout from anyone, but we don't actually make the shirts. That's where the money is. We have no means to, get in a bulk of cotton to have it all cleaned out, sewed up, and just even that, with if we have controls of economies of scale, then that can really ascend us into wealth. But we intuitive decision makers, we're not thinking, we're trying to do something from A to B to C to D to E. We're just, I'm doing this in a moment. Then also versus other cultures, black culture, from no matter where you from, Caribbean island, whatever country in Africa, we're the people, we truly value individualism. We don't think collectively. And if we could start easing towards collectivism, that would empower us to keep control of our culture. If you want Chinese food, for the most part, you going to a Chinese or sushi Asian. If they don't own, you're gonna see someone in it because they control that. They hold that. If you want to wear streetwear, or how you said, fashion, anything like that, we could look back, but we paying the white man to do that. That's where our problems lie. We're not thinking systemically. No, we need to control the whole process. And the thing is, we think it's too big to to try to go after that, instead of like, you know what? Let's come as a collective. Let's not just, okay, we're gonna have a machine to print. No, we need to start getting into actually making the shirts. We need to get into the manufacture of that. Then we get into the natural resources, the cotton, the wool. If we can find some sheep to getting all that and control that aspect of it, then you control everything. Then that breeds independence. You don't have to go and enriching all these other people to bring your vision to life. You can control the whole thing. When you control the whole thing, then they're buying it from us because no one else can make it like us.
Hmm.
That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, so we don't have these more of these cultural misappropriation episodes, because it just seems to be very blatant now. Um, and one other, and so back to the idea. I'm glad that you're echoing. When I said earlier, we don't share, and you said, we think too individualistic, and we need to be more collective. Kind of sort of when I said we don't share, but going back to the idea of our ideas, um, how we, like, going back, how we put a lock, you know, on a lot of our ideas. You know, learning how to trademark stuff, copyright stuff, um, learning, legal aspects, of business. Certain things that you just need to know more than just being the person, the creative. Especially if you want more out of it, for sure. Um, when you look at the music business, you know how people came up. It's like a lot of people were glad to get an opportunity, to get pennies on the pennies per record, what have you, because you know that's what they were being offered. So it's that I take it or leave it. All right, cool. You know, I just saw yesterday De La Soul won their case to regain control of their masters. And this was a fight that's been going on for decades now. You know, and the whole educational aspect of business, needs to be taught. You know, and so but because of other people that went through the process, you know their experiences is what we should be benefiting from. Hopefully they want to share that experience, the highs and the lows, the failures and the successes. How, what did they do wrong, what did they do correctly? you know not saying that when you get into you're not going to make mistakes or what have you, but those are the pitfalls. If we're able to steer us away from major pitfalls, you know, it bodes better, you know, you know, from the business perspective, you know, so we can better set ourselves up better, more for success. If we can make less of the mistakes, because we are more educated, that's also, a very good thing, when it comes to how we keep, our ideas, not necessarily to ourselves, but how we are able to benefit and profit more, I think, off our ideas. And I think, to the way we how would you want to say, oh, fuck it, the way we prostitute ourselves for other people, for other, not for other items, for other goods. We're famous for that. We ourselves can make the same things, but we prostitute ourselves so much just for the sake of, vanity, to look good, and to be the piece of conversation for somebody else. Um, and we do it at no cost. You know, just so
Cheap, yeah.
we do it at no cost. We're doing it for free. Okay, the Olympics just finished, and one of the best runners, sprint athletes in the world that retired the last Olympics, Usain Bolt. He came out and he said, and he was speaking directly to the to corporate Jamaica and also the athletes, and he was telling them, athletes, you need to know your worth. Why? Because corporate will see you, take advantage of your likeness, and use it to promote them, and don't pay you. But because a lot of you're so glad to get the opportunity to do X and Y and Z, you don't say, okay, hey, hold on, Mr. Corporate. Yeah, you can get a one picture, but here what we're gonna have to discuss how I benefit from your promotion. Can I be your ambassador to your product, to your company? All right. So he was telling them, know your worth, because you know when the athletes were reaching out for help and stuff like that, they didn't get any help. So I think for us, we must be cognizant in how well we know our worth. What is our worth? What does it mean to us as a culture, and what does that mean to the rest of the world? If the rest of the world think you're cheap, guess what? You're cheap. All right. So we need to put, you know, a big value not just on ourselves, but on the things that we we are able to produce, promote. Yeah, we have to set that bar ourselves, and we can't be walking around thinking, okay, as Freddie said, people said this little thing, and I said that to somebody the other day. I said we should stop telling ourselves that we're doing this little thing. I think I said it on the show. Everything that we do, yes, it starts from small and humble beginnings, but we should stop saying that. You know, in our head it might be a little thing, but we should, be pushing out there, this big thing that's going to come from our little idea, and just keep thinking big.
Now, I totally agree with that, Iron. Everything that we do as a people, we have our naysayers that try to belittle the things that we do. But
Hmm.
long as you know that you have a grander and bigger idea, you know that this I started small, but I
Hmm.
have no idea, no intention in staying small.
Right.
So your thoughts cannot hold me back. Only person that can hold me back is myself.
Right.
If I think little, I'ma stay little.
Right.
But if
Exactly.
I think big, we gonna grow bigger.
Right. Right. You know, and then, like I said, we all have, multiple unique ideas. More businesses, more black businesses were started last year in the heights of the pandemic than ever.
Hmm.
A lot of them really, really unique ideas. I don't know how many of them have withstood the months coming out of the heights of the pandemic into this new year and everything. But a lot of businesses were started. Um, so we are very we should not just rely on the fact that we are a very creative people, especially from a cultural perspective. Because I think sometimes that seems to be just good enough for a lot of people. Yeah, we're creative and we're cool, and so I think we have to push beyond that, and not rest on our laurels. We're creative, we're athletic, we are smart, all this stuff, but we need to put all of that stuff together. It can't just be we're just one thing. We're all of this thing together, and then and do it and do it together as a collective. As Freddie said, as we say in Jamaica, share and share alike.
That's one thing as American society is that we don't we don't like to share. We don't want to share no idea. We want all the top billing for ourselves. That's how most people tend to act when it comes to building something. That's why they can't come together and build something bigger and better because they're trying to keep it everything to themselves.
Hmm. Hmm. Indeed, indeed, indeed. So, where do we go from here? Um, you know, Ever since we started this podcast, it's always you know back to the community, back to back to basics, basically. Always back to basics, and maintain back to basics. You know, stuff. You know, do you think there's enough of us to recognize that? I think there, yeah, I do, but I think we are in this position where some of us don't really care as long as they can get that which is important to them. So whether if you were somebody that wanted money and you know that yes, the poor people are being exploited, but if you can get your little piece, you are happy with it and you don't care about the rest. So I think
Hmm.
yes, a lot of us, most of us know that yes, poor people are being exploited, but most of us don't care as long as they're able to, as they would say, get their little piece of what it is that's important to them.
Yeah, that sounds eerily close to the church and drug dealers. As long as they
I,
getting a little piece,
Yeah. Y'all can do whatever y'all want, but as long as I'm getting my bag, I'm cool, son. You know what I'm saying?
and Freddie, they can be side by side.
oh,
The whole
shit.
hole can be right by the church building. It's
they
Pretty
coming.
walk, they
much.
It's,
walk right over
yeah,
Pretty much.
it's coming from the dope hole right into the church, and from the church right into the dope hole.
Well, at least you know it stayed in that particular community.
community. Yeah.
And nah, cause the dope dealer taking it out the community, cause he
Well, yeah,
going to
because they're
go
gonna
throw
go.
it.
They're gonna go buy Prada and Benz and shit.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, throw it in the strip club and she gonna
Mm-hmm.
spend
strip
it.
club. You know,
They gonna go throw it in the air.
yeah,
Watch it
bottle
fall
service,
down.
diamonds, black diamonds. Go,
Hmm.
shit.
And,
Cruises. Yeah.
and,
I mean, it's nothing wrong with spending your money, but you got to learn how to spend your money right and make your money work for you. Cause that's what other folks do. They spend their money the way it so it'll work for them.
Well, the perfect way is learning how to spend other people's money. You know, when you've mastered that, that's when you start rolling. Especially when you and to get to the point where you're getting opportunities. To say, okay, you can move from one level to the next, and understanding that yes, there always going to be you know a situation where you don't control. Yes, we know. Freddie, you talk about us controlling a bigger piece of production or whatever that is. But oftentimes you get to a point where you're not controlling, that which is important to you. But we have to understand how to play the game. Because however you see it, it's a game, and you have to understand where in the game, which player are you, where do you fit into the game, and learn how the game is played so you can start elevating yourself from one level to the next. You have to understand if your opponents, you have to understand the people that set up the game. Because as it is, we were placed into this game. We didn't start the game, we didn't invent the game, right? But you have to understand where in the game are you, how am I going to navigate this game, and so that means you understand as much as you can about your individual business, or whatever it is, and then see how you can facilitate leveraging, you know, um, the resources from other, institutions or individuals or what have you, because yes, people are always willing to invest, and you just got to make sure that when you sign on the dotted line, you know exactly where you're going to come out on this investment and understand who it is that you are in partnership with when you are ready to accept these investments and stuff like that. Because not everybody that wants to invest is right for you and right for your business. And so these are the potholes that I was talking about earlier, knowing where to stay away from, who to stay away from, and what scenarios to stay away from when we're trying to elevate and move forward.
Okay,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, just like that, fact checker. Just like that.
um, but if any of the viewers, if you're familiar with the movie Paid in Full, there's a particular line said by Rico, played by Cameron, which is an issue, brings it back to individualism, where he says, man, half these dudes want to be the man just cause. Like what Chef Ari explained, like everyone know in their position want to be a part of making it come to fruition, but we have a lot of people that just want to, no, I want to be the face. No, I want my ideas better than yours instead of saying even making sensible compromises or plan to one skills in this little infighting, this tug of war that we be having with one another about these minuscule things into the whole grand scheme, to the whole picture. That's how other people are able to exploit our our culture, whatever that is. Like for instance, I'm a big fan. It's a guilty pleasure. Um, love the Patty LaBelle sweet potato pies.
Oh Lord. You know no black folks not making that.
I just,
He got Patty face on there, but it don't taste like Patty made it now. Come on now.
and I'm shamefully addicted to it, but I know she's probably getting a few cents because it's her name and her face on the box.
Hmm.
And that's the type of stuff that we are, the people that are able, I don't like to call entertainers anything, leaders, anything like that. They are humans.
Freddie, you know.
um,
It's
uh,
all
my,
right, Freddie. We love you. We love you.
um, yes, shamefully addicted. But instead of seeing a real opportunity, because they saw the value once they came to her, we could turn this into billions instead of like, you know what? If they coming to offer me money to say, oh, you don't have to work, you don't do anything, we just, take your ingredients and corporatize it, and we just keep your face, your name, your likeness, and push it out. It didn't trigger. Nah, this is an opportunity where I could become a real power player. Let me see how I can make these manufacturers my stuff. I'm speaking like on the behalf of Patty, my stuff at a grander scale, instead of finding a way to pawn it off to someone and and get a few pennies. The
Right.
same thing with Jordan. Jordan making hand over fist. He on the well, they the Hornets. I almost called them the Bobcats and all that stuff. He get his checks from Nikes. Well, the Nike thing is different, but if they coming to him, he could have got a bigger percentage than what he is getting now if he'd have had foresight. If they coming to you,
The knowledge
that
stuff.
tells you everything you need to know. Master P caught that when Priority came to him. They saw what he was doing with himself. They was talking about distribution. If you come to me trying to offer me $1 million, then you already telling me my stuff must be worth 50 or 100 million. Because
Hmm.
they always try to low ball the brother because we so quick to get a little bit of money and shine instead of, no, you know what? Let me get in distribution. Let me see how y'all make this stuff, how y'all market, how y'all get these connections, so I can keep all this thing in house, or I could put other black people in positions of power to be influential and control all that's within us. And that's how we maintain our culture. But we're so easy to pawn it off and get pimped, because we want to stay on Instagram and whatever, just want to be stars, just want to be the man, just
Just want to
because
be
no one wants
stars.
to
Want
put
to
in
be
the
a man.
work.
Yeah. Is it, you're saying so? You said something with that. I was gonna just say this, and that would be like it for me for the rest of the night, kind of sort of. So one of the things I think, nothing wrong with being a boss. We all want to be bosses. We all want to be bosses of ourselves, for businesses, etc., etc. But a lot of us want to be instant bosses
Yeah,
and don't know how to manage being a boss.
Hmm.
Don't want to put the time in to learn what bosses do. Okay. Every boss that I know started at either ground level, some of them even below ground level, scratching and clawing, what have you, but learning along the way, putting in the time, putting in the blood, sweat, and tears, because that, all of that experience and experiences is what's going to help you become a true boss, because you are understanding the things, you know, how you manage, how you see other people manage people. Like you said, Master P, you
Yeah.
know, took the time to learn these different aspects of it because he had an end game in mind. He had an end game in mind. He's like, wait a minute, if I don't understand how the hell how am I going to run it the way it should be ran? How am I going to truly profit off of it? Okay, how am I going to control? How am I going to control a bigger part of the percentage or a bigger part of the pie from my company? You know, for me, as opposed to yes, Massa, I'll take just that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So being a boss is an awesome thing, but I think a lot of us need to learn how to be bosses as well. You know, learn that to go to be a boss.
I complete agreement. And
I think we covered it all. All right, come on now. Let Freddie be. Let Freddie be. And people that don't
Detroit just
understand, we
plugging
got
in.
our Detroit. Oh, you was on the road. Oh, okay. But we gonna let Freddie be. People don't know that we got our own small little private little conversations going, and they talking about we gonna get ready. For, get some real potato pies for Freddie.
Only on Thanksgiving, damn. Alien sweet potato pies, man. Who baked it? Who baked that? Ain't it? Your mama made that? Mm-mm.
Hey, you
hey,
know what that was, Ari?
hey,
Ari.
Karen doing her thing right now. I don't know what Karen do in the name of Patty and Gatton.
Hey, but you saw earlier, Ari, when you said that you had the what was the mousse you had in the
Oh, the plantain and cream cheese mousse.
yes. Freddie was like, huh? Oh yeah. He said, sound good. So we see
Well,
Freddie got over there a sweet tooth. That's the problem.
yeah. But so the funny thing is, so that 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 dish is in the book, but it's in the book as a dip, as an appetizer. But I tweaked it and made it a dessert. You know, does to showcase and highlight the versatility, of one particular, starchy fruit, plantains. You
And
know
what
how
what what book would that be?
that would be. And I don't have one to show. If you indulge me for one quick second. Yes, Freddie, you can discuss some more sweet potato pies. I'll be right back.
Well, I would like to talk up my grandma's sweet potato pie. They bussin', but she don't make them year round.
Okay,
So they
so you got a
supplement.
substitute. You
Yeah.
got a substitute for Patty in the meantime.
In the meantime,
Okay, now we finna do this again, Ari. And what book would
Yeah.
that be?
So, seeing as you mentioned what book it would be this here book, Taste the Islands: Culinary Adventure in a Caribbean Kitchen. Caribbean. I don't care how you pronounce it. And you can get this book on Amazon. Ah, but if you really wanted to have a nice signed copy, we can make arrangements for that, of course, at a nominal fee. Thank you. But Tasty Islands, Culinary Adventure in a Caribbean Kitchen, seasons 1 and 2 of the show Tasty Islands, which was featured on American Public Television, yes, and PBS, and
And where
created.
where can they get that again, Ari?
You can get it on Amazon. Thank you very much. Amazon, Amazon, Amazon. Thank you very much. Yes. So,
So
And now that
it's a
concludes our commercial
hey,
break.
it's a nice birthday gift for your wives.
I know, right? I feel like Vanna. Spin me a letter. Hey,
And the husbands that like to cook for their wives at home.
there you go.
Mm.
The price is right, baby. The price is right. Trust me.
Hey, babe, look what I got here. Taste the island.
Yes. Put it in the Christmas stocking for this year. Think about it. Think about it.
And,
Think about
and,
it.
and,
No,
and because of
shoot,
shipping,
Labor Day.
you need to order it now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, I'm going to be ordering some. Yes, yes. Signed copy. Yes, there you go.
Okay, I think that concludes the show for this week. We done covered it all. Um, Ira, you have anything coming up? You need to tell the good people.
Just this Friday, it's Ricky Smiley morning show this Friday. Tune in between 9:35 and 9:45.
Yes, sir.
We'll be on the show. Tomorrow is MIA Soul. Uh, we're doing live tomorrow. Um, and so that's what's going on. 7 p.m. tomorrow. Check it out. Facebook, YouTube. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Freddie, you got anything you want to tell the people?
Um, Nice to meet y'all. Hope I've been a great guest. May I see you all again. I'm a private person, so I don't have any Instagram or Facebook for y'all. Y'all don't really need to know what's going on in my day to day.
Damn, Freddie off the grid. Damn, Freddie living off the grid.
Y'all just stay safe.
Hey, you don't we gonna discuss that later. But but yeah, this has been another episode of the
Oh, I want to
podcast.
say one more thing.
What
If for the people that came in late, I don't know if it stays on. This was a good show. Please go from the beginning and run it back. It's a lot of gems in here.
A
definitely
lot of gems, man.
was.
A lot of gems. Woohoo!
This has been another episode of the Bridge Podcast. Catch you next week. Peace.